right, thank you very much, and thank you very much, Minister, for coming into the House so quickly again. I appreciate you were only here last week listening to us about exactly the same topics, so I very much appreciate that. As you are aware, a group of parents mounted a valiant campaign in Dublin 12 to see the opening of a school locally for the provision of autism-specific classes and supports. And in that, you know, you very early in your tenure, you met with them, and I know a considerable amount of work went into ensuring that the Scoil Colm that was there, ready to go, just needed to be opened and equipped, that could happen. This situation arose because the enrolment policies around AST classes are not community specific and local community specific, and as a consequence there were exceptionally long waiting lists in Dublin 12 and because the surrounding areas of Dublin 6W and that don't have classes, and I know that you are always patient and tolerant in listening to me going on and on and on about it, but it is something that I'm passionate about, because I suppose I'll never get over the meeting last year with Involve Autism and the sheer sadness of the parents that evening. I think that as we look, you made the announcement at Christmas and it was fantastic, and I know it came on an awful lot of background work on your behalf and on behalf of your officials as well. And so we're at a place where we know that the school is opening, that it is due for September of this year. I acknowledge fully that the NCSE are engaged, and your most recent update that there is an intention that enrolment, the staffing, that all of these things are all being contemplated. But I suppose for those parents who have advocated most for this, they're very anxious to know specifically and the specifics of the detail of the opening. Some are very anxious to get in and have a look at the facility and see, you know, is there anything to be done, anything that can be done in the interim, and anything to assist and to hurry this up and to ensure that they are going to have places for their children in the coming school year, if not beforehand, and not have provisions in that beforehand. As we know, autism isn't limited to a specific demographic. It is really important, if we have this in Dublin 12, then that takes the pressure from other areas, and hopefully then we can concentrate and work on other areas as well, as I know you have been, and that we have had great strides forward, and I very, very much appreciate your work on that. So anything that you can tell us and update us in detail on the opening of Scoil Colm is very much appreciated, Minister. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Seery-Kearney. Minister Madigan, you have 4 minutes.
Thank you, Chair, and I want to thank Senator Mary Seery-Kearney for raising this important matter, and you do raise it consistently with me, and in fact you did raise it last week and I didn't answer it because there were so many other questions, there wasn't enough time, so I'm delighted to have the opportunity today. Enabling children, obviously, with special education needs to receive an education appropriate to their needs is a priority and always has been for this government, and I was very pleased to have secured agreement on a new special school at Scoil Colm, and this is a much needed development which will help to meet the demand for special school places, as you said, Senator, in the area. And since my appointment, I have met with a wide range of representative associations and advocates for the special education sector, and all of these groups, including Involve Autism, have raised very important issues in relation to how they consider that improvements can be made to special education services. And among these groups were local campaigners, as I said, like Involve Autism, campaigning for a special school in Dublin 12, whom I met along with yourself, Senator Seery-Kearney, and other public representatives. And I want to pay tribute to the work of these campaigners for their dedication to this project and the education welfare of young people in the area. And we know that there has been a need, as you pointed out, for an additional special school place in the area, and I was determined to take action to rectify this. So by working closely with school authorities, the patron body, officials, public representatives and the NCSE, we secured agreement on the use of the site, and I was delighted to approve the establishment of the new school just before Christmas last year. So the NCSE has identified that appropriate provision is currently required for approximately 40 special school places for students with autism and general learning disabilities in the South Dublin area. And this provision is required to be made available from the beginning of this year, the 2021-2022 school year. And so while the initial provision of 40 placements is intended to provide for these students identified by the NCSE, it is also intended that the available places will be used to meet the needs of other children with complex needs in the area. So arrangements, Senator, pertinent to your particular questions around what's happening at the moment. The arrangements for the establishment of the new school are in train, in consultation with the school patron, with the Archbishop of Dublin and the NCSE, and further information will be provided in advance of the opening. And the NCSE will determine as well the staffing level for the school in line with normal procedures. And my department will also consider whether other supports, including funding and training, are necessary to ensure the school is in a position to cater for the needs of these students upon enrolment. And I can assure the Senator that the necessary arrangements are being progressed as speedily as possible. And this new school will be a positive addition to the local area, and we will ensure that it is fully supported. And we hope, Senator, to open the school in September. If there's a possibility at all of doing this before that, we will certainly try, but certainly and most importantly by September of this year. The building does need to be prepared and teachers recruited, and obviously, as I said, there's ongoing work with the NCSE around that. And I'm struck by what you said about autism not being limited to a demographic. It isn't. And there are other areas in the country where special schools are required, and we always try to collaborate with existing schools to see if there's a way of expanding those schools. And if not, then we will obviously build special schools. And I was very pleased, as one of the first commitments that I secured as dedicated Minister for this area, a commitment from the building and planning area that all new schools from this year will automatically provide SEN facilities and classrooms, which is going to be important into the future, so that we don't have this perennial issue happening every year. Come on, good.
Thank you, Minister. Senator Seery-Kearney, for a minute.
So I thank you very much for that. We really very much appreciate it. And I think that nobody could doubt your priority and your passion from the moment that you took office. And I think within a couple of weeks, you had facilitated a number of meetings for me. So I really, really appreciate that. I suppose, yes, we do need to acknowledge and take this opportunity to acknowledge the considerable work, particularly by Margaret in the D12 autism specific school campaign, because she had beat that drum very loudly for a long time, and so I join with her in the excitement of seeing this come to fruition. I think that it would be important for us to hear breakdown of classes. How, are those 40 places in that specific school? Is it going to be across different classes? They are anxious to get, and I know that COVID is a difficulty here, but they're anxious to have a look. How are the parents being selected? And I suppose those who have campaigned, are their children secure in a place? So I suppose they're the kind of questions. Thank you.
Senator. Minister, you have 1 minute.
Thank you, Senator. And obviously, as you can appreciate, it is a co-located shared campus with Scoil, who already has 132 pupils. Scoil Colm is envisaged, certainly at the outset, to cater for 40 students and hopefully more thereafter. So the intricacies in terms of the ins and outs and the finer details are at present being discussed, but that process, I can assure you, is ongoing. There's quite a lot of work to do, and we, to a certain extent, not just in Scoil Colm and Scoil, but in other areas in education, we've been straitjacketed by COVID, and it's been extremely difficult even to get on-site inspections around the country. But the work, I have to say, is ongoing in relation to this, and should be done on a timely basis, and most definitively by September at the latest. If we can at all do it, as I said before that, we will. There are always increases in population, as well as an exponential growth in autism around the country, and I'm determined that we cater for these needs wherever the situation. I thank you, Senator, for your passion and interest in this particular area.